Bonjour and welcome to WASA Distance Education. This is PLAR English and I'm Andrea. So this is our fourth class. It's Monday, May the 1st. This is what we will be talking about today. We'll be doing a review of the parts of speech. That's for assignment 9. Then we will talk about capitalization. That's for assignment 10. And then we will talk about punctuation, and that's for assignment 11. So 3 different assignments today. So obviously the lesson's broken down into 3 parts. So in this first part, I will be sharing a couple of videos and some notes. Now we won't have time to go through all of the notes. I'm actually excited this term because I have a few videos rather than just a whole bunch of notes as part of our review of the parts of speech. So I've created 2 videos and we'll watch one video and then we will take a bit of a break in between that and I'll give you a couple of notes that I think are the most helpful, and then I'll show you the second video. And then after class, if anybody needs any more examples or more information, there will be other notes that you can look at as well. If we had 2 hours, I could go through everything, but we don't, and that's okay. All right, so let's get started here. This is our first video. I'll just change my view here. Okay. All right, let's watch this first video.
Parts of speech review. In this video and notes, we will look at examples of sentences. I will use the sentences to explain how the different parts of speech are used. So this is actually part 1, and we're just looking at the first 3 sentences that I would like to share with you for now. So I wanted to break this video into 2 parts so that when I present it, there will be a break to ask questions. Also, this video explains all of the parts of speech except for interjections. So if you only wanted to watch one video, then I recommend this one, because of course I have a separate video and notes all about interjections. So it's good to know. So let me start off with a general statement. Maybe you say something like this: "It is a beautiful day." So I'm just sharing general information with you, and that's why it's called a general statement. And we can look at each individual word in this sentence and say which part of speech it's from. So it is a pronoun, is a verb, a is an article, beautiful is an adjective, and day is a noun. So I wanted to say 3 things about this. First of all, pronouns are different than nouns. I could change this sentence a little bit. I could say, the day is beautiful. But instead of doing that, I've started it with this pronoun, it. So either way, whether we say it is a beautiful day or whether we say the day is beautiful, we know that we're talking about the day, right? But instead of starting it with it, we could start it with the day. We could start off using the word the day. And then we would end up with a noun instead of a pronoun. So if I say the day is beautiful, then I've got a noun there. But if I say it is a beautiful day, then I've got the pronoun it. The second thing I'd like to mention is just about how adjectives and nouns work together. So adjectives describe nouns. It's not just any day, it's a beautiful day. The third thing I'd like to mention is something that I've gone over in the past. I want to focus on this verb, is. And this is actually from the verb to be. The verb to be is a special type of verb. It's called a linking verb. So without this word is, then we would not be able to describe the day. Right? So we have to say it is a beautiful day in order to have a full sentence here. We need this verb. So you might be thinking, well, what do I mean when I say it is a beautiful day? Maybe I mean the weather is nice. Maybe I mean I am happy. Maybe I'm thinking today is a good day. So one of the neat things about the English language is we could say one thing, but it could mean slightly different things, or we could be thinking different things, right? So if someone says to you, it is a beautiful day, there could be many reasons why they say this to you. So then maybe you could also ask a question. Maybe you say, do you want to go for a swim? In this course, asking a question is a different sentence format than anything that you have to deal with in this course. I just wanted to show you that asking a question like this does give you a complete sentence. This is the only reason I'm sharing it. But I will go through the parts of speech so that you can see. So do is a verb. You is a pronoun. Then when we look at the words want to go, all three of these words make up a verb phrase. For is a preposition. A is an article. Swim is a noun. Let me just explain, what is a verb phrase? Well, in this course, the only type of verb phrase that you'll have to look out for is the kind that you'll see in the future tense. So maybe you have a sentence like, he will go for a swim. The verb phrase in that sentence is will go. So if you had the sentence, he will go for a swim, and you are being asked to underline the verb, you would need to underline the words will go, right? And like I was saying before, this type of sentence where a question is being asked, this type of sentence structure, you don't need to worry about being able to figure out where the verb is, right? You'll have a sentence more like, he will go for a swim, and it'll be really easy to see that your verb is will go. You won't have anything that looks like this. So with this question, maybe I'm thinking about a couple of things. Maybe I'm thinking about how the weather is nice. Maybe I think that going for a swim is a good idea. So there could be lots of reasons why I might ask a question like this, why I would ask if you want to go for a swim. So then I might come up with a few new sentences to explain how I feel. One example, I could say, it is a beautiful day for a swim. That's a general statement about the day, and I've added on this idea of going for a swim, right? It is a beautiful day for a swim. Let's look at the parts of speech here. It is a pronoun. Is a verb. A is an article. Beautiful is an adjective. Day is a noun. For is a preposition. A is an article, and swim is a noun. So I haven't talked about prepositions yet. So let's look at what a preposition does. Well, a preposition adds information. And the easiest way to use a preposition is to put it near the end, just like I've done here with this sentence, right? It is a beautiful day for a swim. So if we just look at these last three words, for a swim, right? That does not make a full sentence. We're just adding on a couple of words to make our sentence more interesting, all right? So very important. If you're using a preposition, do not put it at the beginning of your sentence. Putting it towards the end, just like I've done here, to add on a little bit to the end, that's the best way to use a preposition. So again, prepositions add on more information. Another thing that I might say, just to be a little bit different, I could say, it is a beautiful day, comma, so we should go for a swim. So up here with it is a beautiful day for a swim, this is just a statement explaining the day with a little bit more detail about the whole swimming thing, right? But in this second one here, it is a beautiful day, so we should go for a swim. I'm taking it one step further, suggesting actually going for a swim. Now, if I said to you, it is a beautiful day for a swim, you might already think, yes, you should go swimming. Right? And maybe you might not. Maybe you don't like to swim. But if I said to you, it is a beautiful day, so we should go for a swim, your reaction would be a little bit different. Let's look at this word so. All right. So is a coordinating conjunction. So coordinating conjunction, it connects two full thoughts or actions together. So you notice We have two sentences that we've actually put into one sentence using a comma and a coordinating conjunction. So the two full sentences that we've put together are, it is a beautiful day. Second one, we should go for a swim. And we just put it together. It is a beautiful day, comma, so we should go for a swim. All right, that brings us to the end of the first part. We'll have time for some questions, and I will come back and share the second part of this presentation with you.
All right. Well, I hope that that video was helpful. I'll just change the change my view a little bit here so that we can see everything here. So here are two little bits of information that I think are probably the most useful when you're looking at assignment 9. This is what we're looking at right now is a list of sentences. And in each sentence, I have underlined certain types of words. So in sentence 1, I've underlined all of the verbs. Sentence 2, I underlined all of the adjectives. In sentence 3, all of the interjections. Now, because we haven't talked about interjections yet, let me read sentence 3 to you. Impressive. This is the best turnout that we have ever had for a holiday party. It's amazing. So in the video, you will see that I will give you another example of using an interjection. But in this example, what I've actually done is, I have something to say in the middle. In the middle, I just have an ordinary sentence, right? I just say, this is the best turnout that we have ever had for a holiday party. And then what I've done with my interjections is I've put one at the beginning, right? So interjections, they stand on their own and they express emotion, right? So impressive. And then I say something so that that interjection makes sense, right? And then I have another interjection at the end, and you don't have to put one at the end like I have, but you can, right? Then I say, it's amazing. So as I mentioned in the video, it's probably easiest to put the interjection at the beginning like this than it is at the end. Because usually, you have your moment of emotion, right? And then you say something right away after so that people understand why you said, I mean, why would you say impressive, right? So people might be wondering, right? We don't go around just yelling interjections. We explain why we just said whatever we said. So I'm looking forward to that second part of my video. So again, these sentences just underline the different parts of speech in them, right? And in the second video, I asked the question, is it possible to have more than one preposition? And the answer is yes. So here's an example with more than one preposition, sentence 4. Gary is from Thunder Bay, but he came to Sioux Lookout for a new job. So if you remember from the video, I talked about going for a swim, right? And that phrase for a swim would be a prepositional phrase, just like for a new job is a prepositional phrase, and just like to Sioux Lookout is a prepositional phrase, and from Thunder Bay is also a prepositional phrase. So I've added lots of extra information with my 3 prepositions here. Gary is from Thunder Bay, but he came to Sioux Lookout for a new job. So prepositions are very useful. But again, as I mentioned in the video, prepositions do not make full sentences. You notice that I've got the subject, and the subject is who or what the sentence is about, right? So this sentence is all about Gary. Okay, so we have a subject here. And we happen to give a name, right? I mean, we could say he is, right? We could even say the dog is from Thunder Bay, even. It could be any person or thing could be coming from Thunder Bay, or right? And then our verb here is actually this word is. All right. So if you're wondering what makes this a sentence, well, it's because it is a complete thought and it has a subject, Gary, and a verb is in it, right? So if you don't have a subject and a verb, then you don't have a full sentence. And next class on Wednesday, we'll start off explaining full sentences a bit more. All right. And then, of course, sentences 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, I've got pronouns underlined. I've got common nouns underlined, right? So you can have common nouns and you can have proper nouns. You see proper nouns in sentence 9. Sentence 8, I have conjunctions underlined. Those are our connecting words that we'll see some more examples in our next video. And then in sentence 10, I've got articles underlined. Um, so articles just often go in front of nouns. So I've got, and there are only 3 articles. That's a useful piece of information to know. Since we're not going through every little a bit of notes that I have, I'll just mention the important informations here. So there's only 3 articles, and that's what makes articles easy to remember. We have the, we have a, and we have an. So if you see one of those, you've got a noun coming after it. And there might be an adjective in between, right? Remember, a beautiful day, right? It is a beautiful day. So it's possible to have an adjective go in front of a noun, right? So you might see an article in a sentence like, it is a beautiful day, right? And say, well, where's the noun, right? It might come after an adjective. So that's something to watch out for too. All right, second page before we get to our second video. This is what the first part of assignment 9 looks like. In my experience marking work, I've found that explaining this first part of assignment 9 is the most helpful thing that I can do. So what you have is you fill in the blanks on the left, right? Fill in the blanks on the left. Right, so you can see here that's what I've done on the left here, right? Sentence 1, you can either stay or you can leave. And then on the right, right, you write the part of speech on the right. Okay, so I wrote or in the blank. Or is a conjunction, right? I'll do a few more. The weather is very cold and my groceries aren't very warm. Though very is an adverb. They're both adverbs. I could put something different in the blanks. I could say the weather is very cold and my gloves aren't too warm, right? I could say too warm. They'd both still be adverbs. I just used very. Very is probably, I think, an easy adverb to remember when in doubt. Adverb's pretty easy to use. Number 3, have you ever been to the city of Toronto? So whether you said that Toronto was a noun or a proper noun, I would mark that answer as correct. Okay. So again, you're filling in the blanks on the left and you're explaining what part of speech you have on the right. So number 4, we have brown and hazel. Those are adjectives. In number 5, the cat is stuck in the tree. That's another example of a preposition. So in is a preposition. And we've got 2 verbs here in sentence 6. Please close the door and open the window. Okay, so you might have 1 blank to fill in. You might have 2. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the second video. I'll just move this stuff over. There, I think this will be better. You can see it better, hopefully. I was thinking after I played the first one.
All right, we're at part 2, the second half. In this second half of my parts of speech review, I will go into a bit more detail about what I have already mentioned, and I will explain interjections, and then I will finish with a summary of what we have learned. So let's start with 2 new related ideas here. So maybe I start off with saying Sandra sang softly. Let's look at the parts of speech. Sandra is a noun. To be more specific, it's a proper noun, right? Because it's a specific name. Sang is a verb. Softly is an adverb. So I haven't mentioned adverbs yet. Adverbs, the easiest way to remember them is that they go with verbs. They help uh, explain how actions are done. That's not the only way to use them, and I have talked about adverbs separately, but that's the easiest way to remember them. So she didn't just sing; she sang in a certain way. She sang softly. Here's another idea that's related to this first one. Right? So it could be something that she's doing at the same time as she's singing, right? Um, so for example, maybe she carried her new baby. Let's look at the parts of speech in this second sentence. She is a pronoun, carried is a verb, her is another pronoun, new is an adjective, and baby is a noun. The most important thing to remember here with this example of these two sentences is that nouns and pronouns are two different things. So here we have the noun Sandra in this first sentence. But here, instead of starting the sentence with a noun, we've started it with a pronoun. So instead of saying Sandra carried her new baby, we're saying she carried her new baby, right? So we're using a pronoun, she, instead of a noun. So pronouns can be used instead of nouns. Now, because we just mentioned Sandra, we know who she is when we say she, right? But if we never mentioned the name Sandra, then she could be any female. So remember, pronouns are different than nouns. Pronouns can be used instead of nouns. All right, let's connect those thoughts together, right? Sandra sang softly. She carried her new baby. We'll connect them together using a coordinating conjunction. We could say, Sandra sang softly, comma, and she carried her new baby. I wonder if you can spot our coordinating conjunction. A hint is that you always put a comma before a coordinating conjunction. Sandra sang softly, and she carried her new baby. So our coordinating conjunction is this word and. Right? So again, coordinating conjunction, it connects two full thoughts or actions together. So we've taken two sentences and put them into one. Our first sentence was, Sandra sang softly. Our second sentence was, she carried her new baby. But instead of having two separate sentences, we just have one sentence. Sandra sang softly, comma, and she carried her new baby. Sandra sang softly, and she carried her new baby. So the most important thing here is to remember to always put a comma before a coordinating conjunction. This is a specific rule for coordinating conjunctions, and I have a whole separate video and notes all about conjunctions where I explain there's actually two different kinds of conjunctions, and we'll touch very briefly on those two types of conjunctions today. You can get more detail in that extra resource though. All right, so we could even add on some more information with a preposition. So we're going to make that sentence I just shared with you a little bit longer with some extra information at the end. So here we go. Sandra sang softly, and she carried her new baby across the room. So I don't know if you could see where the preposition is, right? The preposition is that word that we use to start off that little bit, those extra few words at the end. So our preposition is this word across. So again, a preposition, it just adds information. And something really important here is the best way to use a preposition is at the end, right? You would never start a sentence with a preposition, because starting with a preposition will not get you a full sentence. Using a preposition just means that you add a couple of words on, right? Not a full sentence at all. You just add a couple of words on just to add some more information or some more detail. So remember that prepositions add on information without needing a full thought, right? When we've got a full thought, that means we've got a full sentence. So that's why just use prepositions. The easiest way to use them is towards the end of a sentence. So you might be wondering, well, could I have more than one preposition in a sentence? Yes, you could, right? I have a separate video and notes on prepositions as well if you'd like to learn more. Sometimes we want to express emotion with a quick word or phrase. So I haven't talked about this part of speech yet. So when we express emotion like this, we create an interjection. So let me share some examples of interjections now. This is great, or watch out. Really? Wonderful. Psst. So you know how sometimes you say that if you're whispering something to someone, psst, that word, that's an interjection. Or also, cool, eh? So that's not all of them. I have even more examples, video and notes at this link here on my website. Check that out if you'd like to know more. We'll do one example using an interjection though today. So let's think of one example here. So here's an example. Wonderful. I am very happy because my family will visit soon. So I don't know if you can spot the interjection. Probably the easiest way to use an interjection is to put it at the beginning, right? Usually you would use an interjection with another sentence, right? So maybe you put your interjection, right? So here's my interjection, actually, this wonderful exclamation mark, wonderful. So an interjection, again, it expresses emotion, and obviously the type of emotion that's being expressed in this example is excitement. Right? So when you use an interjection, I mean, the interjection stands on its own, right? Wonderful, that's the interjection, right? But if you're actually using it, you know, people would have to wonder, why is she saying wonderful, right? So that's why I have this statement here, right? This is a general statement about why I'm happy, right? So I say, wonderful, there's my interjection, wonderful. I am very happy because my family will visit soon. Let's look at the word because here. All right, here's a great opportunity to show you an example of probably the most common subordinating conjunction. So I mentioned earlier coordinating conjunction, but here is a subordinating conjunction. So a subordinating conjunction is another way to connect two thoughts together. So as I mentioned before, I have a separate video and notes all about conjunctions, where I go into more detail about the difference between coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions. All right, so again, this time we have a subordinating conjunction. So comma rules are different with subordinating conjunctions than with coordinating conjunctions, right? So here's the link to the separate video and notes that I mentioned. All right, so we're almost done. So let's go through a summary of what we have learned today. Adjectives describe people, places, and things. So maybe a beautiful day, new baby, or a happy person like me. I like to think that I'm a happy person. Articles often go before nouns. So a day, a swim, the room, an idea, an example. So why do I have an? Well, it's because idea starts with a vowel, right? And example starts with a vowel. So you use an when the word that comes after it starts with a vowel, or it could just make a vowel sound, like an Xbox. That's a vowel sound. Nouns are people, places, things, or ideas. Examples of nouns: Sandra, home; Sue, lookout; school, happiness. Pronouns are different than nouns. This is important. So this first sentence, we've got a noun to start the sentence. Sandra sang softly. But in the second example, we have a pronoun to start the sentence. She sang softly. So here, the pronoun she is used instead of Sandra. So pronouns are used instead of nouns. Continuing on. Verbs are action words. And there are also linking verbs, and I talked about that. So action words here: go, sang, carried, will visit. Linking verbs: is, am. These are just two examples of how you would use the verb to be. All right. I have a separate video and notes on on that verb as well, on the verb to be. Adverbs can be tricky. Most of the time they explain how actions are done. So just for today's notes, because this is how you use them most of the time, this is what I'd like you to try to remember, right? So this example here, sings softly, explains how the singing is done. Conjunctions connect thoughts and or actions together. Two examples, the weather is nice, comma, so we should go swimming. In this first example, we have a coordinating conjunction. And with a coordinating conjunction, you always put a comma before your coordinating conjunction. But the comma rules are different with subordinating conjunctions. So in this case, all right, won't always be like this, but in this case, with the word because, we don't need a comma. Right? So we have, I am happy because my family will visit soon. So whenever you're using the word because, um, it's a subordinating conjunction, and the best way to use the word because is to put it in the middle of a sentence. And when it's in the middle of a sentence, you make sure that this helps make sure that you've written a full sentence, and it also makes it easier because, as I said, you don't need a comma with it. Right? So again, you always put a comma before a coordinating conjunction, but the rules with subordinating conjunctions are a little bit different. And in this case, when we put because in the middle of our sentence, we don't need to worry about a comma. Prepositions add information. Our example, she walked across the room. So across the room gives us more information about, well, in this case, where she walked, right? Now, if we just took the words she walked, that would actually get us a full sentence, right? That would be the simplest type of, simplest sentence structure that we could have. She walked, a subject, she, and a verb. Right? The subject is just who or what is doing the action, right? And in this case, we don't know who she is. She could be any female, but that's fine. We could start with a pronoun, right? She walked. Right? We have someone doing something and we know what that person did. We have a subject, she, and a verb. But I wanted to make a little bit better sentence, so I used a preposition to do that. She walked across the room. And you always want to put your preposition at the end. That's the best way to use a preposition. Lastly, interjections express emotion. The examples that I shared today were wonderful. That is great. Watch out. Really? Cool, eh? Or psst, right? Like if you're whispering something to somebody. I hope all of this has been helpful. Thank you.
All right, so that second video, was pretty long, but I think it really helps to explain the rest of the parts of speech there. Um, and I just want to say hello to the student that joined us there in the middle of the video. Sorry, I thought about pausing it, but then I thought, oh, I'd just say hello when the video was all done. All right, so we've looked at a couple of videos that I hope are easier in terms of review. And actually, what I'm going to do after class is to go along with this video, I will have notes. So basically you've got extra to help with assignment 9 now. You've got two new videos and two sets of notes that I really think summarizes everything. And just for that student that joined us, I think that this is the most useful thing to know. Um, just this is the first part of assignment 9. This is what the first part of assignment 9 looks like. And what you need to do for that first part of assignment 9 is you need to fill in the blanks on the left, which is already done here, as you can see. And then on the right, in those blanks on the right, what you're doing is you're filling in the part of speech, right? So if I look at number 3, if I say, have you ever been to the city of Toronto? I've chosen to put Toronto in the blank because it works. And then just knowing that Toronto is a noun, that's what I put on the right. So whether you say that it's a noun or whether you say that it's a proper noun, both would be correct. All right, because Toronto is a specific noun, it is a proper noun, but it's also just a noun, right? So I would either way, whether you said noun or proper noun here and the blank on the right, you would be correct. And then just very quickly, I won't go through any more reading examples here, but I also thought that this was a very useful note. What I've done is I've written 10 sentences and written I've underlined the part of speech in each of these sentences. So if you really wanted, a quick reference sheet, um, I think this is very good, and I think that this is very good, particularly if you're looking for help on especially that very first part of assignment 9. Um, maybe you've never seen a question quite like that. And then, of course, I have more notes. Um, I have a whole section on my website for spelling and grammar, and I have just the videos in a playlist on YouTube. So and these links will be available in the notes after class, and I'll even show it to you if we have time today. We might not quite have time, but we're not going to go through all of these. I just want to show you that it's here, all right? I've got a chart and I've got all of the parts of speech that you might need to know about, and I've gone and I've explained them all in writing with examples. And the examples are based off of those 10 sentences that I've created. And then I've even put more in here too, all right? So if you feel like the video and those notes and everything that I've shared isn't quite enough, there's even this for you that you can look at. All right, so I really hope I've done a good job of giving you examples to help with parts of speech. I mean, there's no real way around it. There's a lot of information to share about parts of speech, so that was the best way that I could think about it. I'm always open to new ideas if any students say, maybe you should do it this way, or, you know, um, and I'm always thinking about a different way to go about it too, so hopefully I'll keep getting better. All right, so this is the second part now, and we're talking all about capitalization. So notes and examples, some practice is what we'll be doing. So I just wanted to start off with looking at some sentence types, and I sort of touched on this a little bit, um, but basically you'll have different types of sentences, and then depending on what kind of sentence you'll put a certain kind of punctuation at the end. Well, and you always want to put a capital letter at the beginning, right? So you notice if I say something like, the dog would like to go for a walk, or it is nice outside, you notice the first word in that sentence is always capitalized. And then I've got some, what you'd call an order. All right, so I could be really gentle with my order. I could say, please take the dog for a walk. Or I could be more assertive. I could be very assertive. Take the dog outside now. Or I could be aggressive. Get out of my way. All right, so you could give different kinds of orders to people. You won't really see any orders in any of the sentences that you're dealing with in this course, but you should know that these are full sentences here. All of these orders, they are full sentences. You can ask different questions, right? Always put a question mark at the end of a question, and always put and again, there's a capital letter at the beginning, right? At the start of the first word of a sentence. The dog is outside, right? Who wants to go for a walk with me? And then you have statements with emotion, all right? I've got help, I lost my dog. So in this first one, I have an interjection, help. And then the second sentence, I lost my dog, that's a full sentence, all right? I lost my dog is a full sentence, but I'm expressing that thought with a lot of emotion, with a lot of concern, right? Or I could have a full sentence like, the dog just ate my homework. Or terrible, I would never go outside in that weather. So another case where I've got an interjection, terrible, and then I've got a sentence, and that sentence is expressing emotion. That whole sentence is expressing emotion. Okay, so probably the next most useful rule when we're talking about capitalization is to capitalize proper nouns. And if you're looking for what proper nouns are, you've come to the right place. So you can look at names. I have a whole list of names here. They're company names, they're types of cars, they're landmarks like Eiffel Tower, they're places like Frog Rapids Camp, they're people's names, titles. So if you talk to say a teacher, right? Mr. or Mrs. or Ms., you give them a title, right? Or if you say somebody named, say, Mayor Greenberg or something, right? Mayor and Greenberg would be capitalized. I've made up uh, an imaginary place called Tree Town. And then I have Northwestern Ontario and South America. I just randomly thought of places here. And then, of course, you have months, you have days of the week, and you have calendar holidays. Calendar holidays are holidays that you see that are official holidays because they're on our calendar, like Christmas, right? So Christmas would be capitalized, but we all have birthdays, right? We have birthdays all the time. So they're not a calendar holiday. A birthday is not a calendar holiday. So that's why Christmas would be capitalized, but something like birthday would not be capitalized. And then, of course, you have ethnic groups. I have one example there, Australian. All right. So, and then I just explained in writing there what I just explained now. So really, you're looking at when you're talking about capitalization and proper nouns, you're looking at places, months, days of the week, calendar holidays, and ethnic groups. Your textbook gives you a list, but I thought, oh, let me categorize that for you. All right, and then your textbook has a couple of other things that I haven't mentioned yet. So I already mentioned that you want to capitalize the first letter in a sentence, but you also want to capitalize the first word in a quote. So it's a quote. The best example I can give you is, if you're reading a story and a character starts talking, so somebody's actually talking, and you can sort of see the word. Often you see said or says or he says or she says. So he said, "You're the best." So the words are in quotation marks, right? Because that's what he said. But for capitalization, you would need to capitalize this first letter of the first word inside the quotation marks. So you're capitalizing the word your, so capital Y. The second thing that the textbook mentions is to capitalize the main words in a title. So something like the fox and the hound. So the fox, hound are capitalized. So it's always that first word, right? No matter what, that first word always gets capitalized. Then fox is capitalized and hound is capitalized. And the would not be capitalized. The other thing that you do not capitalize would be seasons. You notice these are not capitalized. Spring, summer, fall, winter. And you also do not capitalize directions on the compass like north, east, south, or west, right? I am going west in the spring. You would not capitalize west. All right, so here's an example sentence here. Every summer, Mr. Almond travels to the east coast of Canada to help his brother Frank celebrate his birthday. So I tried to explain how, you've got that first word, every, you've got the name, Mr. and Almond, capitalized, and you've got the country, Canada, you've got the name, Frank, but then nothing else is capitalized. And I even have, it's all part of one section in my a spelling and grammar section on my website. I even have videos and notes if you want to learn more about capitalization. But if what I've told you makes sense, and I mean, assignment 10 is only one page. So, it should be enough information, but if you need more, it's always there for you. And then I thought we would do a little bit of practice. So I've already written out the rules and I'm just going to go ahead and fix these sentences. So first three rules: capitalize the first letter of the first word in the sentence, capitalize company names, and capitalize the first word in a quote. So we have he, right? First letter. Now we've got a company name, right? He called Pizza Hut and he said, I would like to order 2 medium pizzas. So we need to capitalize he and we need to capitalize Pizza Hut, right? And then he said something. So we needed to capitalize that first word I. So he called Pizza Hut and said, I would like to order 2 medium pizzas. All right, let's look at the second one. I'll read it first this time. I think that'll be better. I will drive west this fall in the new Ford Focus that I just bought to visit my family in Victoria, BC. Oh, there's some tricky stuff in here. So capitalize the first letter of the first word. So I. And if you're wondering, I is always capitalized. Always. You always capitalize I, right? You notice the Ford Focus that I just bought. That's capitalized already for you. I will drive west this fall, right? Do not capitalize west or fall. In the new Ford Focus, okay, that's a specific brand name of a car. So Ford and Focus need capital F's on them that I just bought to visit family in Victoria, BC. Okay, so Victoria needs to be capitalized, and then the B and the C need to both be capitalized. What we have with BC is called an acronym, and it stands for British Columbia. So if you have a province, sometimes you might have an acronym for it. You still need to capitalize it, right? That's why we have a capital B and a capital C. Number 3, neither Mr. White nor Ms. Black can wake up without their Tim Hortons coffee. So we've got the first letter. So neither Mr. White nor Ms. Black. Okay, we've got two names there, right? So Mr. and White get capitals, and Ms. and Black get capitals. Can wake up without their Tim Hortons coffee. So I thought I'd think of a company name that would be easy to see. So we have Tim and Hortons. And sometimes, if you've never heard of a brand of car or a company, you might miss that capitalization. And you know what? It's okay, right? I mean, you're going to see all different kinds of sentences in your lifetime. So it's okay if you miss one or two. It won't be the end of the world. My Aunt Patricia, number 4, my Aunt Patricia claims that her dog Spot can swim across Lake Superior. So we have my Aunt Patricia, okay, claims that her dog Spot can swim across Lake Superior. So we've capitalized my, Patricia, Spot, and Lake Superior. Now, you might be saying, well, what about aunt? Don't we capitalize aunt? Well, if we have something like my Aunt Patricia is nice, then we would, because there's no comma. There's no comma here. We're just saying my Aunt Patricia is nice. But if we put a comma in, my Aunt, comma, Patricia is nice, then we do not capitalize aunt because the name is all by itself. Whereas here in the first one here, we have a specific name for a person. We're calling her Aunt Patricia. But in the second one, we're just saying, I have an aunt and her name is Patricia, instead of saying, I have an Aunt Patricia. I hope that makes sense. So commas can make capitalization tricky sometimes. Okay, so now, I hope I have time. We'll talk about punctuation. So this is to help with assignment 11. So this is just a list of all the extra resources that I have. But what we're going through today will be very specific. It should be enough for assignment 11, but if there's anything that you think you need more about, maybe you're wondering more about how to use colons and semicolons. I think I have an excellent set of an excellent video and notes that really does a great job, I think, in my opinion. But like I say, I'm always interested to hear what other people think, because I'm always trying to get better. So we've talked about different kinds of punctuation already, and I've taken the sentences that I already talked about earlier, right? So sentences that end in a period, general statements, a gentle order, please take the dog for a walk, or sentences that end in an exclamation mark, get out of my way, or if we have a strong emotion, help, I lost my dog. And then we have question marks at the end of questions. Where is the dog? The dog is outside, right? Okay. And then apostrophes can be used in two ways. So the first way is to show possession or belonging. Something like, this is Frank's jacket. The jacket belongs to Frank. It is his jacket. Or apostrophes are used to make contractions. So I have one example. I told him to wear his jacket, but he won't listen. So that word won't, it's like saying he will not listen. Won't stands for will not. And I've listed some more contractions here. And this is not even close to all of them. There are so many, it would take me forever to list them all. And then I have a link that will be accessible in the notes after class. What I think is a good website that talks a little bit more about contractions and gives even more examples. All right, so here's our practice question. Let me just see. We might have to finish up next class, and that's okay. So we'll follow the rules to do each of the rules. So we want to put the right kind of punctuation at the end of each sentence, and then we want to add apostrophes where they're needed. All right, so let's look at number one. I'm the only person in this room. So I'm is actually a contraction. It means I am. I'm the only person in this room. And you would just write the sentence out again. So I need a period at the end of that. Is that Tracy's book or is it Mary's? So this is a question being asked. So we need a question mark, right? And we've got, right, we're talking about her book, right? So it's either Tracy's, T-R-A-C-Y apostrophe S, or it's Mary's, M-A-R-Y apostrophe S. Number three, that's amazing, or that is amazing, right? So we have that's, T-H-A-T apostrophe S, amazing. It's an interjection that we have here. That's amazing, exclamation mark. Number four, can I drive the Smith's car? Okay, so it's their car. And when you have a name that ends in S, right, it's a family of Smiths. So what do we do with that? Well, we put the apostrophe at the end, S-M-I-T-H-S apostrophe. And of course we have a question, right? So we've got Smith's car. So their car. There aren't any like that in any of your questions. I just wanted to share that with you. What do you do to show possession when the name ends in S? You put the apostrophe after the S. Okay, so the textbook gives a whole bunch of different rules for how to use commas, and I noticed that we have run out of time. So I will start off with this, and we'll just go over commas quickly next class. All right, we'll go through. We'll go through what the textbook has to say, and then we'll do some practice, and then we'll talk about semicolons and colons. But where I would like to end today, because I did list all of those extra notes, right? So I'm at least looking for assignment 9 and 10 to be done. That's good if possible. But if you feel comfortable with doing assignment 11, um, that's okay. Don't have to though. So just a reminder, read the textbook pages and do the questions in the workbook. Um, and all of the links will be available in the notes after class. Everything except for I didn't quite get through everything for assignment 11, right? I didn't get through all of the commas and the colons and the semicolons. There's a lot to know about punctuation. Well, I'd like to thank everybody who was listening today. Thank you to the student that came online, and I'm looking forward to Wednesday. All right, have a great night. Okay, bye.